Just go one back here. Okay, good morning. My name is James Forrest, and I am the MC today for What You Need to Know About the 8A program. This is a webinar that Norcal PTAC is hosting along with the SBA, the U.S. Small Business Administration. I'm a procurement specialist with Norcal PTAC. I've been with PTAC for a few years here, and we are very lucky to have Mary Jo Juarez, a fellow procurement specialist, giving the main part of the presentation from PTAC, and then our very special guest speaker, Mark McComas, who is a business opportunity specialist with the San Francisco District office of the SBA. So thanks so much, Mark, for joining for this. And Mark and Mary Jo have been busy putting together content for this. So we're really excited to get to that. And I'll just do a very quick kind of introduction to what Norcal PTAC is. There is a major development I want everyone to be aware of. We haven't changed the branding on the slides just yet, but we are on a national level. Well, let me start. The Norcal PTAC is one center among about 96 centers across the country. Each center is independently operated, but we're under one big umbrella nationwide. We are a nonprofit service. We're funded by the federal as well as our local state governments. And we're being rebranded as Apex Accelerator. So you'll start to see the name Apex Accelerator instead of PTAC for PTAC centers. So we will be the Norcal Apex Accelerator. So this year you'll see both names side by side for quite a few months. So give you a chance to associate the two together before we move on. PTAC for now, it stands for Procurement Technical Assistance Center, and we are the Northern California Procurement Technical Assistance Center. It's quite a mouthful. So this is why we have some acronyms here. This is our service area. So what that means by service area is these are the geographic counties that we serve. If you have a business with a primary location in this service, if it's an established business in the service area and you're looking for procurement assistance, so you're not looking for grants, you're not looking for startup, you're not looking for funding, you can talk to the Small Business Development Center for those sort of things, then you're eligible for our services. And you would do that by clicking on this link when you get this, or just going to norcalptac.org and clicking on the Apply Now button. And what would you get out of that? Well, you get these three basic core services. One of them, spoiler alert, you're already getting for free, and that's the resources and trainings, because we're always putting on webinars. Anyone, we had someone from Texas today, so hello from California to Texas. Anyone can join these from anywhere. But if you want one-on-one counseling and custom bid matching, you do have to sign up as a client with us. And so for the counseling is basically a procurement specialist like like myself or Mary Jo will be able to sit down with you in one-on-one meeting if you're accepted as a client and go over just about any topic related to government contracting. And so we're talking about SAM registration, all kinds of certifications, including the 8A business development program certification, market research. Really just about anything we're going to talk about today is something we can help with you on a one-on-one basis, which will really be helpful for, I think, a lot of the questions you guys have, a lot of the specific circumstances. There's no other way but to sit down with someone and to guide you through it. We can also set you up with a bid match profile. This is something you can work out with your procurement specialist that basically aggregates a lot of different bid opportunities from different databases on the internet and sends them to your inbox every morning. So that's a pretty cool tool that we actually pay for, then we offer to you for free. So that's a unique service that we offer as well. And with all of these services combined and everything else that we do, our clients won more than $500 million in 2021. And we're going to be working on getting those 2022 figures, but it should be even larger. So we work mostly with small businesses. We specialize with small disadvantaged businesses, and we're really excited to be bringing all these tax dollars back into your pockets. So if you'd like to learn about government contracting, you've come to the right place. If you'd like to sign up with us, we're norcalptac.org. If you're not in this service area here, don't worry. Like I said, there's about 96 centers across the country, and you can find your local one right there with that second link once you get these slides. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we hand things over. Questions, as I said, are very welcome. Please use the Q&A tab feature here. If you click on that and just type your question in, we will receive it. I'm trying to make the questions general enough that they're helpful for everyone to have answered, but specific enough that we know what you're talking about. You can also use the chat, and I'll probably be posting some links, things like that in the chat as well. We are recording this session, and the recording as well as the slides will be sent to everyone later today and posted to our website. So you will see those there as well. All right, so I'd like to start out, but like I said, we have Mary Jo Juarez and Mark McComas, the SBA. So starting out with Mary Jo, I'm going to let you take it from here, Mary Jo. We generally like our presenters to introduce themselves, just because no one's an expert on your background as much as you. So thanks so much.
Okay. Thank you so much, James. I'm thrilled to be here with everybody. Just a quick, brief comment about my background. I came to the PTAC after I had retired from the federal government. I was a contracting officer for the Navy, and then my last 6 years, I was a deputy for small business for one of the branches of the Navy. And that's where my true passion came out, was helping the small businesses find contracts and be successful. And next slide, please, James. Mark, I'm going to let you go ahead and do a brief introduction of yourself.
Good morning. I'm Mark McComas. I'm in the San Francisco SBA District office as an 8A business specialist. First of all, I would like to really thank the Norcal PTAC for the privilege of the opportunity to work with you this morning so we can educate our small businesses on the 8A program. Special thanks to you, Mary Jo, James, and Taylor Bowles, who's the director up there. So let's have a great webinar. Go ahead, back to you, Mary Jo.
Okay, thank you. Our disclosure is on here simply to let you know that everything that we provide is accurate to the best of our ability at the time of the presentation. Things might change with or without prior notice, but we do the best that we can in presenting accurate information to you at the time of the presentation. Next slide, please, James. Okay, so as you're looking at our agenda, one thing I like to do with these webinars is to leave you with a couple words to walk away with today and remember. So for the 8A program, my 2 words are prepare and commit. And I believe that Mark and I are going to address these 2 words as we go through this presentation. By prepare, I am just briefly, when I talk about prepare, what I mean is getting everything ready as you get ready to apply for the program, including realizing that there is a commitment after you get into the program. So prepare and commit. Just remember that you're not alone as you go through this process. We're here to help you, both the SBA and the PTAC. So next slide, please, James. We have this slide in here simply to show you that there are other certifications that the SBA and the Norcal PTAC can help you with. So we have the Hub Zone, we have the Woman-Owned, and the Service Disabled, along with the 8A. So if you need help with any of those, please let us know. We're here to help. Next slide, please, James. Okay, so with the 8A program, a lot of it is all about readiness. Is your business ready? It involves a little bit of market research and a little bit of homework that we can help you with to make sure that you're selling the services or the products that the government buys. It helps if you have federal contracting experience, cash, inventory, working capital, and I'm going to address this in particular in another slide coming up. Are you capable of fulfilling a government contract? And believe me, if you don't know if you are, please contact us. We can help you with that. And do you know where to find contracting opportunities? And as James mentioned, one great program that we have is the bid match that we talked about. Next slide, please, James. Okay, so the 8A program is a 9-year program, and 9 years sounds like a long time when you and I are sitting here talking about it now. But when you get into this program, it's not a long time. There's a lot to accomplish where you start and where you end up. If you do what you're responsible for and what you're committed to and work with the SBA, work with the PTAC, you're going to end up completely different on this journey in between these 2 points. So the program is to help socially and economically disadvantaged businesses. And in a couple slides, Mark is going to go into the definition of those, because that's a really, really important part of this program, and making the decision to apply is understanding exactly who it applies to. The goal of the program is to help you build capacity, as I mentioned, and grow through contracts. But you're going to have, as I've also talked about before, you're going to have access to business development support and all types of assistance as you go through this growth. Next slide, please, James. Okay, so eligibility is be a small business, and that's determined by either the number of employees or the amount of dollars. When you get these slides, if for some reason it doesn't make sense or the hyperlink isn't working, please get a hold of the PTAC, because we can certainly help you with this. There is a requirement that you have not participated in the 8A program before. As we mentioned, this is a one-time good deal for companies. Be at least 51% owned and controlled by US citizens. And again, that social and economically disadvantaged words are there, but we're going to go into the definitions here in the next slide to make that clear for you. And then the SBA likes to see that you can demonstrate the potential for success. And that's usually done by being in business for 2 years. We will get in further slides, we will talk about some exceptions to that. But basically, when they talk about a potential for success, that's what they mean. So your benefits, you've got the one-on-one business development assistance. You've got, and with that one-on-one business development assistance, let me just mention that you have a responsibility there also. You do have skin in the game, and you're responsible for attending classes and learning and taking the different steps that the SBA sets up for you. There are opportunities for federal contracting set aside and sole source awards. Your competition is going to be limited, which is wonderful, but it's really important that you understand that the minute you get an 8A, projects are not going to fall into, they're just not going to fall into your lap. And I do have companies that come to me and they're like 5 years in the program and they say nothing has happened. And my first question is, okay, what have you done to make things happen? Because it's a partnership. It's not a one-sided thing where you apply and then actions just happen.
Mary Jo, if
yeah,
I could just interject.
Yes.
The 8A certification, once it happens, that's when the real work starts. Government contracting is very competitive, and it's important that you understand that. Your phone will not start ringing once you get your certification. It's very competitive, so it's important for you to know that going in, to maybe have some actual past experience, to know that you have the capacity and the capability to handle a contract. And I'm going to get into these more in some future slides. And then also I want to go to a very important piece that's right at the top of this slide. It's 13 CFR Part 124. And as Mary Jo talked about, when you're doing this, this is an investment for your future. So make the most of it. Make sure you have a plan and prepared. So I'm going to have a blue hyperlink for 13 CFR Part 124. And I just want to recommend and just tell you how important it is to read the full CFR Part 124 before you start this process. Thank you, Mary Jo.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. There will be opportunities for joint ventures with mentors. The only thing I'm going to say about this is this, as Mark and I were talking about yesterday, this is a class in itself. The only advice I can think of to say about this one is to be very careful and take care of your business, because I've seen too many times where the small business get into situations with a large business in particular and end up being on the losing end. But again, you have plenty of help from both organizations with this.
Right.
And there is also the opportunity for you to have access to federal surplus property. Okay, next slide, please, James. And Mark, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah. This is to determine if you fall within the two categories of social disadvantage in the 8A. And again, I'm going to draw to the CFR 124.103 is that if you fall in one of these categories, you are automatically socially disadvantaged. In addition, the CFR Code of Federal Regulations, I'm sorry about that. That's very important. This is the law, and this states that other groups can be accepted into the 8A program if you are not in one of these initial categories, and one is preponderance of the evidence, where you would write a specific narrative, provide evidence where you have been discriminated in the past, and that would make you eligible for an 8A certification. That's very important, to write a full, good narrative. And I can talk to you more. If you have any questions, you can give me an email. Next slide. All right, there is qualifications for personal net worth. The important part here is the personal net worth is determined for the 8A program to be your net worth minus your primary residence, minus the value of your business, and the minus of your retirement accounts. Okay, so there's also some income limitations. And then at the bottom is you, with all of your assets put together, they cannot exceed $6 million. So that would be if you had investment properties or other assets, along with your primary residence, retirement accounts, and the value of your business. Next slide.
Okay. So the SBA can waive the 2-year requirement if these criteria that are listed on the slide are met. And I just want to talk for a minute about what I've seen in the past where this happened. This works out quite well with some businesses and not so well with other businesses. And several years ago, the SBA was waiving the 2-year rule for tech companies so that the government had access to tech that they needed very quickly to sole source. And I worked with several 8As that were successful with this, but then I worked with several 8A tech companies who got the first contract, did not have any of the background to the pyramid built. And what happened is, after they got the first contract, they didn't have the processes in place, they didn't have the capital. They were only able to do the one contract, and then they kind of fell apart because things weren't basically handed to them. They didn't have any successful performance. They didn't know how to do a proposal. And it's just a really hard struggle if you don't have that, if you don't have all the processes already done so you can focus on building your business in the 8A program. If you have the groundwork done and you can go into a new program and go forward, that's what the goal is to get all of that stuff out of the way. That's why there's basically the 2-year rule.
Right. The from my past experience in doing the applications and then also working on the 9-year side with the companies that have been approved under this, that are most successful, are the participants that have been maybe with a construction company for 10 years and they've had construction management, or somebody has worked for an IT company for a number of years and then they can bring this experience with them. So you have to have, the real key point here is successful past experience in this field or your NAICS codes that you choose to work under. Mary Jo?
Okay, thank you, Mark. Next slide, please.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, and James, could you bring up the full slide, please? So these are items we've talked about in the last couple of slides. The only thing I'd like to say is just remember that you do have resources out there. Both the SBA and the PTAC are basically happy to help. Next slide, please. So on the 8A application process, before you even go into the certify.gov to start the process, you need to make sure that you've got your NAICS codes, you're registered with SAM, and verify your eligibility. When you go into certify.gov, it's a pretty amazing system, actually, and probably one of the best ones that I as a PTAC counselor work with. They have all types of classes and lists that you can take a look at. So you can, where it says gather your supporting documentation, there are lists there that show you exactly what documentation you need. So you can run around the house or the office or whatever and pull all of those documents, put them in an electronic file. And then when you apply online at certified.sba.gov, you have everything ready and you're just uploading. And that cuts the process as far as the uploading goes substantially. It's very easy to understand and follow. It's all laid out for you in the order that it needs to be. And again, there are resources, not only us, but on this particular website also. Mark, do you have anything to add to that one?
Yes, I want to address something here. The NAICS codes. Our audience is very diverse in terms of maybe experience. So I want to say that stands for North American Industry Classification System. Okay. This is, when we say NAICS in the federal government, we have it's a acronym fest of alphabet soup, and we put everything in acronyms, and this is an important one because it's 6 letters. So the important part here is contracting officers, when I talk to them about they have a contract in NAICS codes, it's important that you know what they are. And I want to give you the website. It's because SBA controls the size standards and determines the small business sizes. So you would Google SBA NAICS codes, and they're all listed there. Next issue is SAM, and the other points on this bullet points on this slide is I'm going to have blue hyperlinks to these in a future slide, and you will be getting these slides. So also another just a little feature, a little point of clarification. The NAICS code is also used on your tax returns, and that's how the IRS identifies the industry you're in. Back to you, Mary Jo.
Okay, thank you. And one more thing on NAICS codes is that even whatever NAICS codes you decide on today for your business, you can always add more and subtract some and add them as your business grows. On SAM is where you keep track of them.
And I've dropped some of these links in the chat here. So you have the census NAICS lookup, and then you've got the size standard table as well in the chat, if you can find this.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, James.
And we'll have the microphone. I'll just remind folks, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A tab. Since we have well over 100 folks here, it's much easier to follow the questions if they're in the question and answer tab. Thank you.
Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so lesson learned. I went back and talked to a couple of Norcal clients who have been in the 8A program or are currently in the 8A program. And a lot of this we've already talked about. One of them suggested always being afraid or never being afraid to ask questions. When you're building those relationships, which you should be doing constantly to help you in the program, and you're meeting with somebody, a good way to end, for instance, would be to say, is there anyone else that you know of or that you would suggest that I could contact for additional information or additional help or possibility of a contract or whatever the situation is? Always ask questions. It's really important to watch and maintain your compliance obligations. And Mark, you may want to jump in on this one after I finish. I'm working with a couple 8As right now who did not file reports, who did not watch the percentage of private work compared to public work, government compared to non-government. And one of them at least had an opportunity for sole source 8A, but they were not able to take advantage of that opportunity because they were not in compliance in several areas. And so just as you're preparing, keep that in mind. Go ahead, Mark.
Mary Jo, a very important comment there. And what she's referring to this, and after you've read the CFR, 13 CFR section 124, you're going to be an expert on this. So yeah, what this is referring to is the business activity targets. Being that the 8A program is 9 years, we have the first 4 years as the developmental piece, and then there's the transitional piece. And so what we want to do is to support companies growing from the 8A, but then also to go out and do industry and other commercial work. And there have been some companies that have just done 8A work, and that's where we run into the challenge of the percentages, and that's all in the CFR. And then you can't receive sole source requirements if you exceed the percentages. Thank you, Mary Jo.
Thank you, Mark. Learn to Market is an 8A. Your PTAC is in the SBA. I'm sure has classes on that. We can certainly help you with that. And another big one is keep the end in mind and plan for it. So as you're moving along this timeline, keep it in mind that it's going to end. And in your business plan and what you're planning, what are you doing beyond that? How are you going to give back to the community that has supported you through all of this? And what plans do you have for your company going forward? Do you want to add anything, Mark, to that, or are we good?
No, we're good. We're going to get to some other things here that I'm going to talk about. So
okay, next slide, please. And I'm going to turn this over to you, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. This is all slides in this presentation are important, but I really want to highlight this because after the years of doing this, I really want to provide the best education and the best customer service to all of you, so that after you're done today with this webinar, you really have the resources and tools and information to help you go forward if you choose to invest in your time, because this is a big commitment. So the first step is you've got to be registered in SAM. Now, again, that's System Forward Management. And so I always want to, if I say an acronym, I want to say what it stands for. So you will register in SAM with all of your information, and then you will get what's called a UEI number, Universal Employer Identifier number. And then that will give you the ticket to start to apply to the 8A program. Now, again, as I've talked before, I highly recommend, and please ask you to read the CFR fully and keep a copy of it so you can refer back to it. It's really important to get the best education before you start this journey. And it's a journey. It will help you put together a better package. The applications for the 8A program are done in 2 parts of the country. We have an office in Philadelphia, and then we have an office out here in San Francisco, down at Market Street. Okay. And the BOSs that are reviewing and analyzing your documents and that will be recommending your approval will really appreciate that you put together a good package. And it starts with education. Please study the CFR. It will help you long-term and it will pay dividends. Next, I put on the link to our 8A site on our website, sba.gov. All right. There are links to all of our, all the information on the 8A program, and then all of the other certification programs that we have. That's HubZone, Women-Owned Small Business, and now also SBA has taken on the veteran certifications. All right. Next is the link for the Certify platform. Okay. That is the blue hyperlink. It will take you right there. So with that, with your information that you registered in SAM, you'll set up a username and a password, and you can enter to start uploading your documents, which you will also be able to get. You'll have a checklist, and that's on our SBA 8A page. All right. Also, another blue link that I've included here is our help desk to certify. So if you have any questions, you can go in with your business information, your UEI number, and then you can also write a brief narrative of what your problem is if you're having problems uploading documents. And then another very important piece is, and I'm really grateful to our 8A government business development team out in DC. They have put together a excellent page with links for trainings, FAQs, frequently asked questions, and all the information that you will need to put together a successful package. So please, maybe even print out this specific slide and you or save this, excuse me, you don't print it out, save it to your desktop. Okay, another important piece here is, and again, the audience here is diverse and vast, but after you're approved, you will be required to put together a business plan. That is where you will put in the things you want to know. And we also have a specific template that you can use, but a business plan, and you will use this for the next 9 years. But always remember, a business plan is like a living document, and you can change that with your goals and your forecast for revenues. What else is involved is what we call the participation agreement. That is where you will, these are the expectations of what's going to be required of you when you start your 9-year journey of the 8A program. Just like you've put in information in the initial application, you will be required every year to upload your corporate tax returns, your personal tax returns, and your financials. Any management or structure changes will be required. And we put that all out front of what the expectations are in the agreement. And it's really important that whatever district office territory you're in out there, is that you work with your BOS. Your BOS is really there to support you and wants you to succeed. But another part that's really important is how you follow the expectations and how you communicate and work the program. All right. Next slide. What I've done here is just made a copy of our Certify knowledge base. If you can't find your specific category, we've also got a search in there, but this is very, very helpful. So please use this to your advantage. And again, I want to ask you to please put together a good quality package that is sent in to SBA. Please don't send it in unless the full checklist is done. Your BOS on the application side will really appreciate the work you've done and make it easy, because where the delays happen, from my experience, is when the full application hasn't been presented, where there's been bits and pieces presented. That really takes time, because then there's communication back and forth. Your business, you have other things. So it's important to really get the process started out right. It's almost like I'm going to equate it to building a bridge. When you start at one side, you want to make sure you're doing everything proper to connect properly to the other side. And that's where the most successful companies, where they get their applications approved on time and maybe even early. So thank you for listening to that recommendation. But I've known a number of people, I just know what the application team goes through. So thank you for your support in putting together a full package. Next slide. All right, here's some business development and self-marketing things you will do. And I don't need to sit here and read every one of them to you. But a lot of these are important. I'm going to have some other links here in some future slides. But when you do market research, and market research is where you go out and you search for federal opportunities. You may do market research with 7 or 8 sources. One of the big ones that's really important, and I have the link for this, is Federal Procurement Data System. This is where you can go in and put a company. You don't need their UIE or their DUNS number. You can actually search the contracts they're doing. And this could be a possible subcontracting opportunity for you where you could reach out to them, okay, as you get started. Sometimes when companies get into the 8A program, taking on a prime contract, you need to get some experience, and subcontracting is a good place to do that. Another great marketing research tool is USA Today, .gov, USAspending.gov. I'm sorry. Also reach out to the OSDBUs, the Office of Small Developmental Business Utilization. I'm sorry. And then also most agencies do what's called agency forecasts. All right. Again, I'm going to move to the next slide here, but I've got a number of blue hyperlinks that you can use, but it's really important that you know that you will be responsible for doing your market research. And again, that will be a number of sources. Next slide. All right. In this slide is where I've put the exact direct link to FPDS. Another good source is Dynamic Small Business System, DSBS, is where you can also put your information in, and it's a platform that we run here at SBA. And it's a great also networking tool where you can also search other companies to reach out for them for partnerships and relationships. And then it's a platform also that whenever I've sat with contracting officers, when they're making decisions on contracts, they automatically pull up everyone's dynamic small business search. So it's important that you keep that up to date and current. All right. Forecasts. This is where government agencies put out their forecasts for the next year. So you can find out the contracts that they're the solutions that they're looking for to see if you can contact the contracting officer, ask for a capabilities briefing, and begin to start building a relationship. I also just want to put as sources for further assistance with the SBDC and the SCORE chapters. Next slide. All right. Getting back to SAM.gov is you can put in for alerts in SAM on contract opportunities that are coming up and also events. I talked about forecasts. I've talked about the OSDBUs. I want to address the subcontracting piece again. Being a subcontractor could be very important to you building experience, building a network for future opportunities. Yes, you're not in total control of that contract, but what it does is it helps you with experience. And then also it might be something where it can lead to a future relationship in a mentor-protege, possibly JV relationships, because you're getting to learn how you work with another company. You learn from them. You learn how they do things in terms of safety records, how they handle money, and how they complete projects. And then also another major benefit of the 8A program is that once you're approved, this is where our headquarters again has done something really positive. This is part of our 7J marketing program, is where we have signed a contract with the BidSpeed platform. That is another excellent tool for you to go in, search opportunities, they have excellent trainings, and you can also sign up for coaching sessions one-on-one with the specialists there at BidSpeed. And we actually, so that is again a major platform that actually companies that are not 8A certified pay for this on a monthly basis, but it's free for the 8As. Next slide, please. All right. This is my information. Please email me if you have any questions. And then also, please reach out to Mary Jo. Again, I am so grateful to the PTAC and the expertise of their specialist that we can collaborate and work together to provide all of you the best customer service and really help you with your dreams and goals of becoming a successful federal contractor. Next slide, please. Okay. Again, this is something that, again, great resources for you to use. Please save this to your desktop. Next slide.
Hey,
James.
Next slide is mine. So thank you so much, Mark and Mary Jo. We do have plenty of time for a Q&A now, so please stick around and don't take off just yet. A lot of the value of the webinar is yet to come. And it's not too late. If you have questions, please put them in the Q&A tab. We already have several. I've been answering some of them by typing them out. If it's something that's easy to get out of the way. So please take a look to see if you've had a response to your question yet in the Q&A tab. Just want to mention that we're always putting on upcoming events. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, our first in-person hosted event since the beginning of COVID is going to happen on Thursday, February 23rd this month in Eureka, California, up on the waterfront. It's going to be very lovely. If you're interested in hearing from a state representative, not a representative of the state legislature, but someone from the Department of General Services, OSDS, is going to be presenting on how to do business with the state of California. It's a free workshop in person, and it's going to be great. Hour and a half on Thursday morning, February 23rd. So please take a look. You can click on this link when you get it. You're going to find all of our upcoming events on our website, norcalptac.org/calendar. Okay, we've got, as I said, plenty of time for questions. So let's start digging in. And please just be aware, I've dropped some links in the chat as the presentation has been going. So feel free to review some things that I've sent along. And if your question hasn't been answered, please put it in the Q&A tab and we'll get to it as time permits. So first question comes from Alfred Martinez, who's asking, how is the net worth calculated? If we could go a little bit more into how that net worth is calculated, that would be great.
And Mark, if you could do that one.
Sure,
that would
sure.
be great.
What you do is we will have you take all of your assets and put them together, and then you can subtract the primary value of your home. People ask, what is my home is worth? I find a lot of people know what their home is worth. You can go to Zillow and get a number on, get a value on that. You will subtract your retirement accounts, and then you will subtract the value of your business. And that will be the net worth that is determined for your application.
Great, thank you. And first off, are nonprofits, let me just start with this question. Are nonprofits eligible for the 8A program?
No, the 8A certification is for for-profit companies only.
Okay, great. So that is what Frank Richards, that's a question down there. Frank, that should answer your question. You need to be a for-profit business. There we go. Oops, let me just say quick answer live. But so this is an interesting situation. Nonprofit has turned into a for-profit, but they're pretty new, but the nonprofit is older. Can the for-profit use the nonprofit's experience over the last 2 years to satisfy that 2-year requirement?
The participant, and that's the individual applying or participants, will provide resumes. And then you may also want to write a narrative explaining that. And that experience is very valuable and could definitely be used in a for-profit company.
Okay,
and
great.
Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I have worked with clients where the question didn't exactly fit in certify.gov, we've been able to do a narrative and just pop it in there
Right.
to address the question and the
Yeah,
situation.
you know what, and please, to our audience, please address these things up front. Be full disclosure. Please tell the truth. Your forms are under perjury. And just, the word is communication. It's like my favorite word, communicate, and be honest up front, and work as a partner with the person that's working on your recommendation for 8A certification.
Great. And while we're talking about the 2-year requirement, could you maybe elaborate on anything else that might demonstrate the potential to succeed that the applicant could demonstrate? You said a resume, but what sort of other factors might someone reviewing an application consider?
Great question. Yeah, degrees, very important. Certifications, very important. Are you certified? For instance, if you're in construction, are you A or B? Right? Specialized documentation of what you've done, past performance is very important. And that's not only your resume, but also your education and certifications and degrees.
Okay.
Good question.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Laura has a question here. Let's see if this is kind of specific. Let's see if we can address it here or not.
Sure.
Sometimes it's hard for me to tell right off the bat. For small construction work, if I'm not a general contractor, as an 8A only owner, what are the limitations on pass-through, for instance, for NAICS, commercial and institution building construction? So if we could talk about pass-through limitations.
Excellent question. Yeah, and that's really not saying pass-through, maybe subcontracting would be a better choice of words. Yeah, you are required to do a certain percentage of work. And again, when you read 13 CFR section 124, you're going to be an expert. And so like for instance, in construction, you've got to do 85% of the work. All right. And services require 50%. So very good question. And again, I want to support subcontracting and teaming and partnerships in federal contracts. Thank you.
And as a former contracting officer in construction, I can tell you that when I would go out on the job and I would see only a prime there and I would never see the small business that I awarded the contract to, that was a huge problem and a huge red flag. So right. If you would like to have a further discussion on this later, be happy to do that with you.
Right. Also, at the end, the contracting officer does a completion of work assessment. And really also another important piece of this is you're getting contracts to support your employees, and you're getting the 8A contract because you're in a certain category. And the spirit of the program is to build experience and revenues for your firm. Thank you.
Okay, great. Masa has a question here. Does being a woman, does that qualify you as being a socially disadvantaged individual? I know we went over that, so maybe it's something we could review.
Sure.
Categories.
Yeah, under part 1 of socially disadvantaged, women are not included in that. Okay, so that's where you would come in under part 2, under non-designated group criteria, and you would write your narrative. And please spend quality time on that narrative with specific documentation and evidence of what's occurred, and then you will work with your business opportunity specialist in the certification division to, in case there's any further questions, and for you to document that.
Yeah, and as a PTAC counselor, I've worked with several women who went through this process, and we were very successful at it. For one of them, it was a little bit hard reliving the situations that occurred to her, and of course the SBA wanted dates and names and all of that information, so she had to relive it. But in the end, she did state that we've talked since, and going through the 8A program has grown her business so substantially. That's definitely worth it.
Good story. Thank you, Mary Jo.
Okay, and Maria is asking, these kind of questions can be kind of tricky because it's been a minute since we were talking about it, but they're asking, Mary Jo, if you could clarify your comment regarding access to government property. Does that ring a bell for you?
It does, and Mark, you might want to jump in on this one, but I believe so I'm in Washington State, and in Seattle, there's a government surplus store where different government agencies can go and pull desks and other things. Things are put in there and things are taken out. But as one of the benefits of the 8A program, you have access to that space to pull out desks or whatever's in there that you can use.
Yeah. James, could you repeat that question? Because I also have something I think could add value. Sure.
Maria is just asking for a clarification on access to government property in the 8A program.
Right. What we call it is a surplus property, and you will fill out an application. It is a huge benefit. I've got a number of stories on how we've worked this. One of my favorites, I also have served in DC. And then also in Los Angeles. And I got a great story when I was working with one of my electrical companies. We got them a couple of the old PG&E, I think they were PG&E or one of the electrical company's trucks. And the company has gone on to be majorly successful. They didn't have a truck. They didn't have a good quality truck, but those utility trucks are awesome where you can put all your stuff in there. And a great success story. I've also had some companies out there in the Delta up towards Sacramento where we've been able to get, I got a boat for one of my companies. And then you can get some other things. Sometimes they have various supplies, but when you get approved, there is a process. I have great relationships with the team there. It's in Sacramento. And you also can go online and look at the equipment, and it's with huge values. I don't want to go into specifics, but there's been some companies that have got some great benefit out of the surplus property program.
Great, thanks, Mark.
Sure.
Cecilio has an interesting question here. In the LLC application checklist, there are all these documents for ownership. In the last few ones, for instance, buy-sell agreements, membership agreements, membership certificates, membership ledgers, rotation agreements. If you're just a real simple single member LLC, you own everything. You haven't been required to have all those things. How would you approach that?
You can actually, no, you wouldn't. You can actually a single member LLC. I mean, that's pretty simple. And I tell you what I'd like to do is I can go into that much deeper, but, send me an email on that. And, that's a quick solution.
So you might be able to, for instance, write a little memo saying why you don't have those things or something like that.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what we usually have them do.
That's totally fine. Yeah.
Okay.
That's how a lot of people start out with a single member LLC. Yeah. So great question. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
That is a good question. So don't be intimidated by the list.
I tell you what, that is a great way to start, because doing all these documents, it can become pretty costly too. So
absolutely. It's hard to know when you're getting in. I find a lot of my clients, it's hard to know. Sometimes the government is really strict when they make a list. It's everything. Every T needs to be crossed, every I needs to be dotted. And sometimes there's some flex room, and it really takes a little bit of guidance to know where there's some flex and where you have to be exact. So
well, we're trying to become a greater, more user friendly. James.
Right. Yeah. And then that's what we're all part of here.
Yes. Excellent customer service. is really important to me and our team. And that's, again, why I'm so grateful to work with Mary Jo. Just the expertise also of the PTAC counselors. It's really good environment. It's very supportive. So thank you, Mary Jo.
Oh, thank you, Mark. It's been a joy.
All right, we got a few more minutes here for questions.
Sure.
Could we just go over briefly what is a BOS?
Okay. Again, thank you very much. Again, that's where I need to be better. BOS stands for Business Opportunity Specialist. And again, I try not to do the acronym talk. Business Opportunity Specialist is really in the first part, when you go through the application, that's the person that will work on your recommendation to DC, and then your approval will come from headquarters. One of our top people there, I really look up to her, and her name is Dr. Donna Peoples, and she will be the one that sends you your approval. You will receive that in an email. They're a great team out in DC with our government contracting division. Next, you'll be assigned, depending on what district you're in, what's called a BOS, Business Opportunity Specialist. And they're going to be your partner in working over the next 9 years for getting you contracts, and then also the one working with you on your yearly uploads and to certify with all your documentation. And they're your point of contact. And again, I just want to add here, the most successful companies that I have in my portfolio are the ones that communicate with me quarterly, or sometimes and also tell me what's going on. If they're have a specific opportunity, or where you're trying to get a capability briefing, call me. And I sometimes I know the contracting officer, and I can help set up an appointment for you, because getting a hold of contracting officers is not the easiest thing to do. So, but when you have those relationships, that's what's important. Back to you, James.
Great. And once you're assigned to BOS, do you stay with them for the full 9 years, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is there an opportunity to change?
Well, if you're in San Francisco, unfortunately, I'm who you get. So whoever's asking that question, you can decide. But yeah, we a lot of the offices just have one BOS. So hey, listen, if you want to change, maybe send me an email and let's talk about it. And yeah. So back to you, James. That's it.
Absolutely. All right. All right, and it is 11 now, but let's just do one more question. Could you talk about how long it takes to get approved once you submit a completed application?
I was waiting for that question to come. Whoever wrote that question, you get +10 for the day. All right.
We got a couple folks that are.
Well, all of them get +10s and special stars. Okay. Listen, I tell you what, a lot of it determines on the quality of the package you present. And I think I talked about this probably too much during this webinar. But the thing is please, it's just put yourself in somebody's shoes that's reviewing your package. I'm also a former bank underwriter. And when I got all the documents in, or when you're looking to do something, if you have everything you need in your job to do the checklist, and every one of those customers or clients has submitted their documentation on the checklist, you can move that and recommend it and move it off your desk. I mean, so, send the recommendation. So it's a great question. It's the most popular question I probably get. But it has a lot to do with you on how you provide the full documentation. Is that fair? Yeah. So I've seen some packages approved in a couple months, and then I've seen some packages go on and on. And, people want to say, well, I've had my package in for this amount of time. A lot of that time is because when the package was submitted, the full documentation wasn't there. So then that means there has to be people are emailing back and forth. Listen, let's save your time, let's save your money. And, again, I'm asking, I've made high recommendations. Please study that CFR. Please follow the checklist and communicate with the person that's approving your package. And if somebody wants to send me an email on that, I'd love to hear from you.
Okay, great. All right, we are just out of time here. We still have a ton of questions in the Q&A. We have about 20 unanswered questions. So you guys have been very, very active. Thank you so much, everyone. And we wish that we could stay here all day and just answer questions. But please, if you wouldn't mind, we've put Mark's email information, phone number in the chat, which he was so kind to provide. You'll also get the slides. You'll be able to click on all those links as well. So if your question wasn't answered, there's one of two things you can do. One, reach out to Mark, who's an expert with the SBA on this. You can also reach out to your local PTAC. So if you want a one-on-one session with Mary Jo, you can apply for us and request, and we'll submit, and that's an ongoing relationship, totally free, doesn't cost anything. If you're outside of our service area, our funder restricts us from assigning you to our procurement specialist. So just make sure that you find your correct local PTAC. That is also a link here. Find your local PTAC on the slide you're seeing right here, and go ahead and apply. And whoever your procurement specialist is will be able to help you with 8A certification and all kinds of these great questions.
Yes.
So if the question wasn't answered, don't worry, you're not left alone. You have plenty of help from PTAC as well as nice folks at the SBA like Mark. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I have put a link in the chat a number of times for the where the slides are going to go. There's also a survey that we'd love for you to fill out. You can do anonymously. Just let us know how you felt about the webinar today. We love to improve our services. So click on that link. You'll also get an email later today with the slides as well as the link. So that's what we have for today. So thanks again, Mark, and thanks, Mary Jo.
Thank you for investing your time.
You.
Thank you for investing your time in your future with SBA and government contracting. And thank you again. I'm so grateful for the PTAC and the consultants and specialists there.
And thank you.
Have a great day.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Likewise. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Bye-bye.